So how do you find like-minded people to hang out with? That's not the real question. The real question is, how do I get out of my environment and stop hanging around with the losers that I grew up with? That's really the question, right? And a deeper question is this: why would other like-minded people want to hang around with you? Because I believe you are who you hang out with. You are who you hang out with. I remember when I was as a teenager, I was getting into a lot of trouble. And that's one of the reasons why I immigrated to Canada, because not only my mom and dad got divorced, that was the relationship issue with my mom and dad, and that's why my mom didn't want to stay in Hong Kong and she wanted to move to Canada. But also is I was getting into a lot of trouble. I was a punk kid. I was hanging around with the wrong people. I was in a gang. I was getting into fights. I was smoking cigarettes and all that stuff. And one time both mom and dad had to go to the police station to bail me out. So I was probably 13 years old or so. And I remember I was in a balcony, second floor, police station. My dad, me, and the police officer, and the police officer was saying, hey, you know what? If your son keeps this up, he's going to be in jail. You have to get him out of this environment. He's hanging around with the wrong people. And very shortly, my dad made a decision, and he kind of almost like pulled me out of Hong Kong and boom, just put me into Vancouver, Canada, in a completely different environment. I couldn't hang out with the people I was hanging out with. So that's the issue, where you have to ask yourself, why would like-minded people or smarter people or more successful people want to hang out with you? What value do you bring to the table, right? And if you are toxic, if you are negative, why the fuck would they want to hang out with you, right? No one wants to hang out with people like that. So now with me, what I did is in my early 20s, when I was working with my first mentor, Alan, he actually belonged to a mastermind group. Now at the time, there were 6 people in the mastermind group. Alan was one of them, and all of them were very successful. Like, we're talking about like millionaires, minimum millionaires. I was the youngest guy. I was the least experienced. I was definitely the least successful. But because I was working with Alan, my mentor, he would bring me along to those mastermind meetings. And I would sit there, I would observe, I would take notes. I wouldn't say a whole lot, but I was the poorest in the entire group. What's very, very interesting by belonging to a group like that, it expands my context, expand the possibility. When I was hearing these entrepreneurs who are more successful, more experienced, and I was like, wow, that is fascinating. That I was worrying about, at the time, a $1,000 problem. They are talking about a $500,000 problem, $1 million problem. And I was just like, holy shit. And the biggest thing I got out of it, believe it or not, and first I was so nervous attending these meetings. They were talking about these business ventures they were doing and investments they were doing. I was so out of place. I was so uncomfortable. But by going there often, at the time we met about once a month. By the 6th, 7th, 8th time, and something clicked within me. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I could do this too. They are just, they're hardworking people. They're very smart. But I didn't get the feeling like, okay, they probably make 20, 30, 50 times more money than me. But they're not 20, 30, 50 times smarter. And they definitely don't work 30, 50 times, 100 times harder. So it creates a new belief in my system that, hey, you know what? Maybe I could do that too. So that's the first way how I find successful people to hang out, like-minded people. The second way you could do it is go to events, meet with people face to face. Get out of your own city, get out of your environment, go to these conferences, spend a little bit of money, get on a fucking plane. Meet some new interesting people, because that's how you build relationships. And that's also why at this point, even as successful as I am, I would go to certain conferences, because I'm very selective at this point, but I would go to certain conferences, certain groups where I would meet new interesting people, because I know that one relationship could change everything. So invest a little bit of money, go meet the people you want to meet with, go hang out in that environment. Very, very critical, because we're so busy day to day. You're busy, I'm busy, everyone is busy. But by being there, it could be a 1-day event, could be a 2-day event, could be a 3-day event. You're locked in the room. They're not going anywhere. They are staying, chances are they're staying in that hotel, that they are there, and you could hang out with them. You could buy them lunch. I'll give you one quick secret, and that is this. When I attend these events, especially if there are like multiple speakers, and I would attend. And one time I was attending as a young guy, just as an attendee, and there was this speaker. And after I spoke, he was a very nice guy. I saw him hanging out in the evening in the pub, just in the pub, by himself. And I thought, what the fuck? I walked up to him and said, hey, can I buy you a drink? And we talked for 3 hours. He probably got paid tens of thousands of dollars to show up to speak there for 90 minutes. I got 3 hours of personal time with him by buying him a drink for like, I don't know, a few dollars. Just think about that. So there's so many of these opportunities. Third is now with the internet, you can also hang out with people on Facebook group. There are a lot of good Facebook group that you can join, maybe usually pay to join, or some kind of community. No different than my high-tier closer community. Now we have students from over 100 countries. We all connected, the same mission, the same goal, share the same value. That's where they hang out. We call that the HTC family. By belonging to a Facebook group, you could also do that. That's also how you find like-minded people. Don't be so restricted with, I got to see them face to face. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it could be through virtually. That's also very, very good. Is you want to have a place, a community, a group that you could go to when you have problems, when you have challenges, and you feel understood that, hey, you know what? I'm not the only person with this problem. Maybe you've been down this road too. Like, you could do that. But knowing that chances are the environment that you are in right now, if I have to take a guess, it is not super supportive of your goals. It's just not. Chances are it's probably a pretty toxic environment. However, you can make a decision, you can make a choice to get out of that. You don't like the city you're in, move the fuck out. Move to a different city. It's okay. You see those big green signs on the highway? Yes, follow those signs. You could go to a different place. You can move to a different city. You can always have that choice. If you don't like the small town you're living in, move. You don't like the big city you're living in, move. It's okay. You have the power to choose. That's the great thing about human beings. You have the power to choose. Just remember, you are who you hang around with. So be very, very selective. Until next time, I'll see you in my Bentley.